Hello, everyone. Dean on the Street, host of the Dean Blechman Show. Really excited today down in Fort Lauderdale. My featured guest today on Dean on the Street is Mitch Swergold. Mitch,
Dean,
glad to have you, man.
thanks so much, Dean.
Awesome. Came a long way for us to get together. Really did to make this happen.
It's great to be here.
We were both mutually connected through a mutual acquaintance, and awesome that we were able to make it here and finally make it here down here in Fort Lauderdale.
It really is, and I'm glad your mom's doing so well, Dean.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my mom had hip replacement surgery here. She's doing miraculously unbelievable. She might go home today.
Wow.
But she's doing unbelievable. She could be 90 years old next month.
Holy cow, she
What a
doesn't look
story, okay? 5 sons, 2 sets of twin boys, then had Dean. And here she is, 1 month short of 90 years old, and here at Holy Cross Hospital had hip replacement surgery, and could be leaving the next 1 day later. Just,
beautiful and strong.
Just unbelievable.
Really
So
nice.
it's really great that you met me here, and you're going to hear really one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard in my life about somebody, and especially a guest that I have today here. But I've got to ask you, Mitch, right off the bat, listen, you were a very active lawyer, practiced law every day. You were a hedge fund manager. You worked for some of the most prominent hedge fund companies in the United States. Why did you leave law and leave finance altogether?
Well, it wasn't my intention originally. I was actually, it was late 2006, 2007, where I started having an understanding of what was going on with the financial system and that there was a real systemic risk. And, you know, when you see that sort of thing that is so massive coming, it's wildly stressful. And so I was incredibly stressed. I wasn't happy. And I felt like I needed to take some time off and just not be in the way of this tsunami that was coming at us. And so I left, and I went to just figure out life. And I had no idea what that meant, but that's what I left to do.
So you were away from it for about a year?
Well, I left with the intention of going back to finance in about a year. And what I started discovering about the mind and how the mind works and my own life and how it could change my life was so dramatic, so completely different from anything I'd ever imagined, much less experienced, that I continued studying. It's now been 9 years, and I haven't gone back, and I've never been happier.
Well, listen, we're gonna come back again, but why don't you bring everybody up to date with a little bit of you left law, left finance. What's Mitch doing today?
So today I have a company called Self Mastery Gym, and it's all about mastering ourselves in order to be happier, reduce our stress, transform our stress into strength, to live better lives with better relationships and live healthier, spend a lot less time in hospitals and in doctors' offices, and to help companies reduce absenteeism. Did you know 75% of all absenteeism is related to stress-related doctor visits?
Wow.
Yeah.
And we just happen to be around a lot of doctors.
That's
today,
right.
Huh?
Yeah. So,
unbelievable.
Yeah, this is the place that we want to avoid.
Wow.
So we're in a conference room at the hospital right now.
Before we sign off, do you mind we just go back a little bit? What was really the reason that after a year you did not go back into law and finance?
Well, this is really my big transformative story. And I think that for a lot of our society, if you're like me and you lived life as a victim, things in life happen to you. I had been studying the mind more from a spiritual perspective and meditation for about a year when I was diagnosed with cancer. And it was a very aggressive type of cancer that could have killed me very quickly, and I was very fortunate in how it turned out. But what happened was, and this is the crucial part, I really know that it came from what I learned, but I don't know how it is that it happened to manifest at that moment. So I was actually visiting my mom in Florida, and I'd brought down my then girlfriend and her daughter, and the doctor calls, and I answer the phone, and he says, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have cancer and you need to get back here and have surgery ASAP."
Wow.
And I think most people would respond to that, at least they tell me, that, they'd be down, they'd be depressed, they'd be upset, they'd be a victim, they'd be, why me? Oh my God, I'm going to die, all these different things. And my response was literally, this is so great.
Wow.
Thank you for this opportunity to develop myself, because I'm going to beat this thing.
So that was what triggered it.
That was what triggered it.
Awesome. We're going to hold off there.
All right.
We got
good.
a lot more to talk about. We're going to leave it at that, with that life-changing experience and story that Mitch Swergold just left you with. We're going to be back in the next episode to take that further with what's next. So from Mitch and Dean on the Street, host of the Dean Blechman Show, we're going to see you real soon. Bye-bye now. Hello, everyone. Dean on the Street, host of the Dean Blechman Show, still here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My featured guest, Mitch Swergold. Mitch, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Dean.
This is our second episode, and I just want to go back to the last episode, how we finished. And I think it's important for you, Mitch, to really tell in more detail this transformative story, this life-changing story. What was the transformation that occurred, and how can people benefit? I think it's important that you really get into it. We hit that at the end, and I think it's an important story and experience for you to hit in the beginning of this episode.
Okay. So, and I agree with that. Thanks, Dean. So, the story that I told is how 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And when I was diagnosed, I received this phone call from the doctor. Everything at that point in my life seemed like it was fantastic. Finally, I'd gotten to where I wanted to be in so many different ways. Get this call from the doctor. Doctor tells me I have cancer. And as you might guess, most people have told me that the way they would respond to that is from a place of suffering, which is to say, oh my God, why me? I'm going to die, all this other stuff. And it's a very aggressive form of cancer, incidentally. And my response was, this is so great.
Wow.
Thank you for this opportunity to develop myself, because I'm going to beat this thing. Now, the reason that this is so important, as it turns out, is in a couple of different ways. One is the idea of transformation. So when people look at change in their lives, they tend to say, oh, well, I'm doing this, but I want to be doing that, so I'm going to do this. But that's not how change works. And we take change on, in many instances in life, trying to do it this way. And you know how people have their New Year's resolutions every year? And
Yes.
it's the same resolution?
Yes.
Every year?
Every year.
Right. Because we're trying to take things head on. Instead, what we need to learn to do is use what I call the jujitsu move.
Oh, wow.
So we take the energy of whatever it is that's coming at us, or say the thing that we want to change, and we just redirect it instead of opposing it. And that's transformation.
Wow.
So for me, what I did was, in this instance, I gave a different meaning to this event than the meaning that I might have given just a year before. A year before, I would have been a victim. Why me? Oh my God, I'm going to die. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Instead, I gave it the meaning of, this is an opportunity to help me to grow. Now, at the time, I'd never even heard the word epigenetics before. And in case you're not familiar with it, I'm just going to get into extremely detailed molecular biology right now.
I hope.
Just kidding.
I hope. Once again, you get into lay terms with what all that means.
So,
and remember, I told you on the first episode, this young man is someone that very much was a very active lawyer, attorney, and was very active in hedge funds with some of the biggest firms around the country, and it's really inspiring what you're doing now today. So once again, go ahead, if in layman's term you could try to get that across as much as possible. First of all, I hope you're having some fun.
I'm having a great time. Actually, I'm totally pumped. We just did that first one, and I'm feeling so good, and we have such a good chemistry.
Why
I really enjoy it.
Why are you so pumped?
I'm on the Dean Blechman Show. How can I not be pumped?
Well, that's great. That's great. Go ahead, Mitch.
Okay, so epigenetics, very briefly and in a very basic way. What it means is, they discovered, or they mapped the human genome, right? DNA.
Okay.
in the 1990s.
Okay.
And when they did that, they expected to find 140,000 different genes, but they only found about 23,000. Now, why did they expect 140,000? Because there were about 140,000 different proteins in the human body, and they expected to have one protein coming from one gene.
Wow. Wow.
But it turns out that every gene is capable of expressing, meaning shooting off, different types of proteins based on not only the information that it receives, but how it translates that information. And that method of translation of the information into, okay, what do I do? How do I shoot off what protein? Actually can be changed. And you can change it consciously.
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 Wow.
Which means you can change your life consciously. What this really means is conscious evolution. So if you think about a bird in the Galapagos, okay? Say you have two different birds, one's got a better claw than the other bird.
Wow.
And there's a period where there aren't that many fish. So one bird with a better claw is going to be able to grab that fish out of the water more easily, and it's going to survive, whereas the other bird will not. That's happenstance, that it happened to have the better claw. Human beings now have the opportunity with this knowledge and with meditation, which I'll tell you about another time, to actually consciously direct their evolution.
Wow. That's amazing, Mitch. Listen, you mentioned meditation. You're going to have to come back with that because
I will, with pleasure.
I've had a few people that want me to do some meditation, and it's one of the many things that I haven't followed through on. So maybe you're going to be the first to get me. But we have a lot more to talk about. We're gonna come back with Mitch Swergold. But before we do, Mitch, your company. Why don't you go ahead and mention your company and how people can get in touch with you?
Sure. So my company is Self Mastery Gym. You can go to selfmasterygym.com, or if you can remember how to spell my name, it's Mitch, M-I-T-C-H, SWERGOLD, like the metal.com. Either way, you get to the same place, and you can subscribe to my blog, in which I will provide, which I'll start very soon. It's on the right side of the page. Just enter your email and your name, and then you have to click on the email that you'll receive to validate it. And I'll be sending you once a week a very simple, concise way of better understanding your mind, based on the latest science, the latest psychology, to help you to improve your life, to live a happier, healthier, and freer life.
That's great, Mitch. Listen, we're going to be back with Mitch Swergold. This is Dean on the Street, host of the Dean Blechman Show. I'm down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're going to be back to you real soon. Bye-bye now.